Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
We begin tonight with an update on a story that we've been following for you. The former manager of the Sanctuary Event Center in downtown Fargo has pleaded guilty. On August 30th, Richard Palais III pleaded guilty to a theft charge. Court documents state Palais took money from deposits made to the event center and put the rest of the money in the company's bank account. The documents say what Palais took out of the deposits went right into his personal bank account and was used for gambling and going out. It is believed that Palais embezzled over $19,500. A sentencing hearing for Palais has been scheduled for October 8th. A 15-year-old is alive tonight after surviving a horrific semi-crash, and it's all thanks to the heroic efforts of a complete stranger. This morning, a semi-truck hauling fertilizer and a pickup truck crashed into each other just northeast of Castleton. The impact caused both trucks to go up in flames. Valley News Team's Maddie Jelseth was on scene and tells us how a bystander saved the life of the boy who was still inside the truck when it caught fire.
A 15-year-old was on his way to school when his truck and a semi slammed into each other at an intersection just northeast of Castleton. The impact causing both vehicles to go up in flames. Another employee with the same fertilizer company that owns the semi was not too far behind. He saw the accident before jumping into action.
He had grabbed his fire extinguisher, and by the time he had got to the cab of the pickup truck, there were flames that were coming through the firewall. And the juvenile male at that time was complaining about the fact that the flames were hot and getting to him. So this guy went to work.
Once the employee was able to rescue the high schooler, he went to help his coworker.
Things could have been significantly different had that bystander and another employee not been here on site.
Both vehicles were totaled and towed from the scene. Sergeant Bringerman says this is a clear example of why it's important to be cautious around intersections not controlled by stop or yield signs.
The Cass County Sheriff's Department says to take extra precaution during harvest time, especially at uncontrolled intersections like this one.
With the increase in traffic, but more importantly with fully mature crop, it's so difficult to see. So people need to slow down and exercise due caution. Always assume that there's going to be another vehicle coming.
In Castleton, Maddie Jelseth, Valley News Live.
Both people involved in the crash were sent to a local hospital with unknown injuries. The Cass County Sheriff's Department is investigating. A Minnesota sheriff's deputy narrowly escaped a deadly crash when his squad car was hit by a suspected drunken driver. Officials say the 25-year-old Saginaw man was highly intoxicated and has now been booked into a county jail. Authorities say the sergeant was patrolling in Industrial Township near Bemidji on Highway 8 near Highway 33 just before midnight when a car approached him driving on the wrong side of the road. Despite trying to avoid a collision, the two vehicles crashed head-on. No one was hurt. It's been a warm day for those in the Southern Valley, and our weather team is keeping an eye on some storms popping up in our viewing area. Hutch, what's the latest?
Well, that we are, Andrea. We do have storms in the Devil's Lake Basin. There's a cluster that extends all the way to the northern Red River Valley, and the Lake of the Woods area seeing some storms that have moved out of the Clearwater County area. Both of these storms have produced and have a history of producing some sizable hail. We have one active severe thunderstorm warning. It's for the far southeastern flanks of Lake of the Woods itself until 5:15. So for just the next 13 minutes or so, this storm's moving off to the northeast at 20, where you see the pinks over the lake. That's where the hail core is right now. So likely most of the land in Lake of the Woods County not seeing the hail. That is now moving over the lake, and that hail potential is upwards of 1 to 1.5 inches in diameter. From Devil's Lake through Cavalier and Hallock, we see a line of storms, and the biggest hail potential is where you see the little blue pixel in the middle of Ramsey County right here, and that particular system is working its way to the north and to the east at 20 miles per hour. So you could possibly be seeing some hail in Edmore by the close of this broadcast at 5:30. There will be another chance for some overnight thunderstorms as well as we talk about your forecasts for tomorrow and the rest of the work week ahead here in just a few moments.
Okay, thanks, Hutch. A 19-year-old man is accused of murder in the shooting of a 23-year-old man at a North Minneapolis convenience store. Demario Davis was charged with second-degree murder in the fatal shooting of 23-year-old Samuel Abron Yeager. Davis was also charged with being a felon in possession of a gun. According to charges filed in the case, two young men walked into a food market around 9:30 Sunday morning, and that's when Davis and 18-year-old Jamarius Sheaf of Minneapolis entered the store. A short time later, the two groups had a discussion. Davis and Sheaf left the store. Records say they returned, and then Sheaf started punching one of the men inside. Then Davis allegedly shot and killed Abron Yeager. The airman who was found dead on the Grand Forks Air Force Base in his dorm room has now been identified. Christian Clark was a high-frequency global communications system operations tech with the 319th Communications Squadron. Clark is a native of Monroe, Georgia, and joined the Air Force in January of 2016. He came to the Grand Forks Base in June of that year. The cause of his death is under investigation. Fargo police are warning of a dramatic increase in opioid overdose calls. Sergeant Matt Christensen with the narcotics unit reports that since August 1st, officers have responded to 9 calls of possible overdoses, one of which resulted in death. Prior to that, police had 9 calls of possible overdoses all year. Christensen says the narcotics unit is working diligently to investigate these calls and trying to identify who's bringing these drugs to our communities. People in the Valley have taken to Facebook to warn others of what they say is a shoe scam. Sadie Dunn and Robert Allen weren't able to talk with us on camera today, but say they bought what they thought were authentic Nike Air Jordans on one of the local Facebook buy and sell pages earlier this week. The two say they bought this pair of Jordans for $110 from a couple in Moorhead. And when they got home, they noticed something crumpled in one of the shoes. The two found out that it was the bag the shoes originally came in from a knockoff dealer in China. When Dunn and Allen confronted the Facebook sellers about the fake Jordans, Dunn says the sellers started threatening them. Dunn and Allen say they have not made a police report yet, but they plan to, adding that they want others in the Valley to beware before buying shoes on Facebook so no one else has to lose their hard-earned money. Nearly 300 state employees have applied for voluntary buyouts that were offered to deal with North Dakota's budget crunch. The Department of Human Services has the most requests at 121. Employees approved for buyouts will get a lump sum payment of 3 months' salary. Health officials in Minnesota say there may be a slower obesity rate increase here when compared to other neighboring states. The obesity rate rose to a little over 28% in 2017, but remains under the national rate of just over 30%. Minnesota is now the only state in the Midwest census region, that's a sample of 12 states, with a rate below 30%. Researchers took data from a 2017 study done by the CDC and found that physical activity and diet have significant influence on the rise in the state's obesity rate. They found those who were physically active and ate at least 1 serving of fruits and 1 serving of veggies per day had lower obesity rates. Starting Thursday, the frontage road in South Moorhead between 32nd and 34th Streets South will be closed to both east and westbound traffic. So here's what drivers should do. Motorists should enter onto that frontage road from 32nd Street South to access Target and the Boulder Tap House. This closure will last about 1 day, and that is weather permitting. East Grand Forks Police are currently holding their annual police auction. This year it features 34 vehicles and dozens of bicycles. The vehicles and bicycles can be seen at the East Grand Forks Police Department. In order to make a bid, you can visit the website govdeals.com. The online auction closes at 5 p.m. on Sunday, September 16th. The Red River Zoo is going into its 20th year of success, and tomorrow night they're celebrating with their annual fundraiser, Zoolibration. Guests will enjoy food and drinks and will be able to take part in both a live and silent auction. Guests can also take part in animal encounters, such as camel and porcupine feedings. Plus, the wolf exhibit will be open. This event is not only to raise money for the zoo, but to give the community a reason to celebrate.
Any opportunity to bring people here and explain to them kind of why cold climate species matter and why this zoo's collection matters is a great win. So I'm excited.
Zoolibration is a 21+ event. You can get tickets online by visiting our website and clicking on this story.